Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, why gas prices have spiked and how the Iran nuclear deal could impact future prices at the pump. Also tonight, we'll take a look at the state's latest tourism numbers, and we'll hear from a local participant in the development of a UN climate change pact. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona ended the budget year with a $266 million surplus. That's $400 million better than the expected deficit lawmakers used when building their current year budget. Unexpectedly high collections from income taxes helped put the state well into the black. And this year's annual kids count by the Annie E. Casey Foundation shows Arizona ranked 46th nationally in child well-being. The state scored especially bad in children living in high poverty areas. Also, the number of kids without health insurance is almost double the national average. Positive results include fewer Arizona children using drugs or alcohol and more kids aged 16 to 19 either going to school or working. Perhaps you've noticed a considerable jump in gas prices the past couple of weeks. Here to explain what's happening and how the Iran nuclear deal might affect future gasoline costs is Linda Gorman of AAA Arizona. Good to have you back. Thanks for joining us. All right, so gas prices are increasing. It was up like 11 cents in 1 week in Arizona. What's going on?
Right. Well, prices have definitely been soaring over the last couple of weeks, and the reason behind that is California. So California has had some refinery issues as of late, which really caused a tightening of supply in that area. And as you probably know, we get about half of our gasoline from that California pipeline. And so anything that impacts prices over there, any supply disruption, refinery issues, is going to ultimately impact our prices.
So we were up 11 cents in that 1 week. Nationally, the increase was only 1 cent. You're saying that's the reason? Yes,
that's the reason. And national prices have fallen at a more rapid rate than Arizona prices as of late. Prices over the last couple of days have started to stabilize, but honestly, it's still pretty volatile depending on what part of the state you live in. And in fact, we've heard reports from drivers saying they've seen increases of 10, 15 cents overnight.
Flagstaff is usually the highest when you come on the show and talk about this, and Tucson is usually the lowest.
Yeah.
Same?
Yeah, especially this time of year. Flagstaff is usually higher, as is Scottsdale. Tucson's lower. We have a stricter EPA regulations here in Phoenix that don't necessarily apply to Southern Arizona. Also, Southern Arizona mostly gets their gasoline from that El Paso pipeline.
Southern one, yeah.
Right, which just is a different fuel blend. It's easier to produce.
These California refineries, I mean, the reports is there's too much oil on the market. The reports are that the refinery outputs are all up.
Absolutely.
What's going on in California?
It's a really interesting situation, not just in California, but really in the market right now. Oil prices are not able to sustain really anything above $50 a barrel. Wild swings throughout the day. There is a lot of oil in the marketplace, and these refineries are just outputting the gasoline. And for the most part, we've been exporting gasoline, right? A lot of gasoline in the past, we could have used it here, but we've been exporting it to other countries because it's more profitable once you send it outside of the United States. There have been some refinery issues in California as of late, which unfortunately have then created a tightening of supply and then not enough gasoline. So it's half a dozen, 1/6 of the other.
How long before these issues are going to be figured out and corrected?
Well, it looks like from a refinery standpoint, at least in the short term, that situation is starting to settle down. So prices are starting to calm down a little bit and stabilize. And really, aside from the refinery issues, this is the best time of year for gasoline prices typically. We've had a very calm hurricane season, nothing weather-wise impacting supply or production. As I mentioned, oil prices are favorable. And then we're going into what we call our low demand season once we hit Labor Day, where people just don't drive as much.
Right. Okay, so the Iran nuclear deal is out there, and that's obviously, that's not going to be an immediate impact, but it has to be approved. But let's say it goes forward. Next year or so, will we see effects at the pump?
Well, there's a lot of speculation about that. And in fact, last week we heard for the second time this year a $2 price speculation, which was the second time, again, we've heard it. First was in January when there was a lot of oil in the marketplace. Demand was reduced. And in fact, Arizona did drop below $2 a gallon for about 3 weeks. We heard it again last week with the Iranian deal. It really is too soon to tell, but it is interesting to note that they have not actually brought gasoline from Iran since 1995. So if in fact that deal does go through and the gasoline, the oil starts to flow here, then it will definitely have an impact on gas prices. It's just too soon to tell when that could happen and how far those prices could fall.
And they have to build their infrastructure as well.
Absolutely.
You can't turn this battleship around in a
This
second.
isn't going to happen overnight, and even next year is pretty optimistic. This is really a long-term outlook. And quite frankly, the other point not being made in these discussions is, what about our long-term energy strategy? We still need something that's going to replace the gasoline tax, gasoline in future generations, because as we know, we are at the mercy of countries that are just unstable. And so what are we going to do from a long-term perspective?
And we should note Iran has the third largest oil and gas reserves in the world, so that's a major
Yep,
play. Hey, before you go, new information on this washed out bridge, I-10 east and westbound. It sounds like something could happen by Friday?
Yes, it looks like they're going to be opening one lane in each direction, so that could certainly alleviate some of the traffic woes that people are concerned about, and good timing for holiday or for the weekend travel.
Okay, so keep an eye on that. As you're saying, one lane each direction, that would probably be for quite a while, I would imagine.
Yes, it would look like it.
So prepare for slow going, at least at the.
Right. Well, I mean, there are a lot of options. I mean, there are different routes that you can take, and it's not a holiday weekend, but definitely pack patience. Make sure you fill your gas tank before you hit the road, because if gas prices are going to impact any stations along the route between here and California, it is going to be around those rerouted areas.
And last question, you were saying $2 a gallon could be possible, maybe post-Labor Day possible?
More like into the fall and winter. We see our lowest prices of the year that time anyway, and all signs point to a favorable fall and winter for prices.
But as far as the price, high prices now, probably through summer we're going to see not too much variation, you don't think?
Yeah, prices will continue to be somewhat volatile over the next couple of weeks. Around Labor Day, they'll start to decline, and then we should see that gradual decline for the rest of the year.
All right, good information. Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Arizona Office of Tourism recently announced an encouraging report regarding state visitation numbers for 2014. Here with more is Office of Tourism Director Sherry Henry. Welcome back to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you. How nice to see you again, Ted. Thanks for having us.
You betcha. Well, it's all smiles here because
Yes.
we've had you here when it wasn't all smiles and there were
true.
problems. It sounds like in 2014, numbers are up.
These are the largest numbers we have ever recorded, not only in terms of number of visitors, but in terms of visitor spending. The visitor spending is just under $21 billion for 2014.
And how, I'm seeing 41 million visits?
40.7 million visitors, counting both domestic as well as international.
Compare that to the forecasts. What was expected?
Well, you know, we don't forecast because we, in many ways, have no way of knowing. We knew that 14, because we watch it on a quarterly basis, and we knew that 14 was getting off to a great start. And then as we watched it through the year, we could see that we were going to surpass 2013, which we did. We didn't know that we were going to surpass it this much, so we were definitely in the celebratory mood.
What do you think the reason is for the better numbers?
You know, I think it was a combination. You talk about perfect storms, but this one was definitely a positive one. We got off to a great start with the Super Bowl. We had presence in New York City. The media were already talking about Arizona being in the next Super Bowl. That began to resonate throughout the media. We did a campaign in Chicago and put the photo of the lovely young woman up on the side of a building at the day that the polar vortex hit Chicago. We got more media from that value almost than we did from the advertising.
That kind of thing really, I mean, advertising, marketing, it really does. And I know that you guys have been stretched for funds here recently to be able to do, it just frosts me to see Michigan and Iowa and all these places advertising here. And I'm thinking, are we doing that? Are we doing that there?
We are making such a splash, and we have really gotten some great traction going. A lot has to do with our partners. We've really engaged, you know, thank goodness for the great tourism community in the state of Arizona. Through their efforts, through leveraging our dollars, Brand USA at the national level has enabled us to go consumer advertising in both Canada and Mexico. So those numbers are way up from what they were in the past.
Air traffic, lodging, park visits, I noticed from your report, they're all up.
Everything's up. I know. It's absolutely amazing, and we are just so thrilled because, again, it was everybody kind of coming together with that same intent. The mega events, you know, the announcement, obviously, Super Bowl, the upcoming Super Bowl and Pro Bowl, then the fact that we received the national championship game for the collegiate game, that was all being talked about during that same year. So you had all this wonderful momentum going. And all of a sudden, Arizona was being seen in a lot of different arenas, and then it just raised the whole visibility.
And Arizona was not being seen, at least for a while, in some of the negative lights that we've had in the recent years. That has to be an impact.
You know, it was, but of course you had a lot of things going on at the same time. Not only the political side, but you had the recession going on. You know, tourism continues to experience various challenges as the years go by. And a lot of that now is in our rearview mirror, and believe me, we're really happy to see it there.
I bet you are. As far as the sectors are concerned, what's the strongest, or maybe surprisingly strong? What sector still needs a little bit of help?
I think that our international has really gained a lot of momentum, again, through our partnership with Brand USA. You know, that international visitor, they stay longer, they spend more money, they see our state. So we're going to try to put a little more emphasis on that international market. We have representation in a number of different markets throughout the world. But having consumer advertising was something we had not been able to do for years.
Yeah.
And we saw our numbers jump both in Mexico and Canada, and we believe it was a result of that. So we're trying to put more effort there, I think, than we have in the past. And then domestically, we're going to look at some new target cities coming up this year.
Really?
Yeah, usually I only do 2, but this year we're going to do 5. And
can you tell us which cities those are? Is that
well, it'll be Seattle, Chicago, Minneapolis, those are 3 biggies. And then we're going to do just an all digital in both Portland and Austin.
Interesting.
Because our research is showing that these cities are showing a great propensity to want to come to Arizona. So we're going to encourage them.
And they have, all those cities have a vibrant, it seems like they have an energy to them, and people there want to go elsewhere and check out other. It'd be kind of nice if everyone said, you know, Phoenix has that kind of vibrancy as well.
And we think that that is the new messaging out there, is that Arizona and Phoenix Metro and Tucson have a new image, I think. And I think that's really helped us all.
It kind of brings it to the next question is, you talked about the international visitor. They tend to stay longer, they tend to do more. Who's the visitor? Who's the average visitor to Arizona?
Well, a lot of our visitors actually come from Arizona, and we love that. And then the usual suspects: California, Illinois, New York, Texas. Those are your usual suspects. And you know, we put a lot of emphasis on those states for that very reason.
What are they spending their money on?
Everything, absolutely everything. You know, everything from camping and extreme adventure in Flagstaff to the 4- and 5-star resorts. It's all over the board. Has
that changed over the years? Are you seeing a different pattern?
I think what we're seeing is that Phoenix Metro and Tucson are being more recognized for their urban experience as well as for the scenic, the outdoor experience. And that vibrancy has added a new level, I think, of appreciation and demand. And so I think you've got the best of both worlds. So as far as the raw numbers are concerned, obviously Phoenix, I think, would be, you know, kind of a focal point, Maricopa and Pima counties. But areas of the state that, again, are doing well, and other areas that could use a little more help. Flagstaff and Coconino County are off the charts. Interesting. They do a phenomenal job. But they also put a lot of funding and a lot of enthusiasm into their marketing, and their respective cities and their mayors and their city councils recognize the value of that visitor, that tourism dollar, and so they continue to support their programs, and they've come out. Sedona's come out with a phenomenal program. Flagstaff has had an amazing advertising program, And they're knocking our socks off in terms of their numbers going up.
Who needs a little more effort here to get some socks knocked off?
I think your southeastern part of the state, there still isn't quite that draw, but you've got your wineries now, and that's a whole nother level of exposure.
And you got Bisbee down there as well.
That's right.
So is that just a matter of getting the word out?
Yes, it's just always about telling the story. That's why you need to make sure that all of your efforts are coordinated, because you need to keep telling the whole Arizona story.
Last question and last note here. The impact, there were initial plans to cut like $4.5 million
Yes.
from your budget.
Yes.
Those plans did not go through.
No, they did not.
How important was that?
Oh my gosh. On a 1 to 10, it was a 12.
Yeah, yeah. And that is important, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You have to have the funding, you have to have the investment, because all of these programs and all of the storytelling and reaching all these millions of people, it takes visibility, and visibility takes money.
Is that story getting through, do you think?
Yes, I think it's definitely getting through, and we thank our new governor because we believe that he was instrumental in getting the money put back into our budget.
Well, we thank you for joining us tonight on
Thank you.
Arizona
Always
Horizon.
a pleasure.
Tonight's look at sustainability issues focuses on ASU professor Sonia Klinsky and her efforts to help fine-tune a United Nations Global Climate Pact agreement at a recent conference in Germany. Sonia Klinsky joins us now to talk about what was talked about. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, fine-tuning a Global Climate Pact draft. What are we talking about here?
So this year is an incredibly important year in the climate change world. In Paris this December, there will be a global climate agreement, which for the first time will involve absolutely every single country taking some kind of action on climate change. Now, as you can imagine, this is not the kind of thing you write overnight. And so it's really been a couple of years process. And the meeting that just happened in Germany was kind of the last chance to really get all the ducks in the row and get it all kind of lined up before the big negotiations this December.
And you were there in Germany
Yes,
watching these ducks get lined up. How difficult was it to get those ducks in a row?
Yeah, well, you know the whole saying, trying to herd cats.
Yes.
Ducks are far more difficult. So yes, it's been a very slow, complicated process. But yeah, I've been observing for a number of years now.
And from what I've read now, forget what I've read, let's ask you, what does the pact call for?
Well, the pact is really, the most important part of it says that every country in the world has some obligations to deal with climate change, and that every country in the world will do something. So the important thing to remember, it sounds very vague,
yes.
I know, but the important thing to remember is that every country is completely unique. So just juxtapose in your mind, the United States, Sierra Leone, South Africa, and India.
Yeah.
Those are very different countries. And for the first time ever, they have all agreed to do something towards climate change, whatever is appropriate to their own country. So the big part of this pact is every country coming forward with a commitment towards mitigation. And by mitigation, I mean, what are we going to do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? That's a core part of this agreement.
And the goal, I read, was to the temperature increase for global temperature to kind of cut it to what, 2 degrees Celsius from what it was pre-industrial? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so this has been an ongoing conversation. The best knowledge we have from science is that at a 2-degree warming point, we can still manage the warming without really major catastrophic effects. The concern is we don't really know what's going to happen after that, and there's a huge potential for much more serious impacts. So several years ago, the global climate process agreed to try to limit it to 2 degrees Celsius. And that's the kind of the mandate that they're working within for this agreement.
So that would be like the framework, and then all the countries, the nations of the world kind of get together. I can do this, I can do that. What about those that can't do much because they simply can't afford it?
Well, this is a huge part of the deal. This has been a big issue. There's actually a number of countries. There's 2 issues here. One is, what are you going to do to stop climate change?
Right.
And the other is, what are you going to do to protect your citizens from climate impacts? And so for certain countries who are very vulnerable to climate change, this is a huge issue. So imagine, for instance, a country like Bangladesh, which is very low-lying. It already has a lot of human development issues, and climate change could make those things worse. So the Global Climate Pact, if you will, really has 2 elements to this. There's support, so financial support to help countries deal with the impacts of it, and also support to help countries make those big upfront investments that they might not be able to make otherwise. So imagine you're India, right? You have huge solar potential, but investing in those initial solar panels is a big cost, and so you maybe can't afford it. However, in the long run, economically, you'd be better off. So part of this deal is trying to figure out, are there ways that wealthier countries can help poorer countries make those big upfront investments so that they can then contribute more.
And again, is this from what you're working on? Is that more of a framework, or are we getting to specific things?
Right now, we're at a stage where those specific conversations are really starting to happen. There's sort of 3 big parts of this deal. One is how much each country will reduce emissions. The second one is how are they going to deal with adaptation, which is what I mentioned. How are we going to deal with the impacts of climate change? And then the final one is what needs to happen to facilitate the kind of action in all countries. And what's happening right now, literally as we speak, in rooms around the world, are countries coming up with drafting their plans. We've already had a number of them be released in terms of what countries are proposing that they do.
Is there a problem with the changing nature of science in that what you discover, what you learn, what's developed by way of technology, the old moving the goalposts a little bit here. I mean, you could be saying this is great here in Germany and in Paris at the end of the year, but science has already moved past and found something. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Is there a concern?
So there's 2 elements here. In terms of the science of climate change, it doesn't change that fast.
Okay.
We've basically heard the same messages with just increasing severity over the last almost 20 years. So what we're really seeing in the science of climate change is simply that this problem is becoming more serious than we thought and more certain than we originally thought. Where science is really exciting, however, is the other end of it, which is there's huge opportunities here in terms of innovation for technologies, in terms of abilities to do things we didn't think we could do. The cost of solar production has really dropped, which is a game changer for many countries like China, who couldn't have afforded to do what they're doing now. They're just making absolutely sort of huge investments in solar industry that are just unprecedented. We've never imagined that. So where science is really exciting, actually, in this, and where it is a game changer, is the rapidity with which we're seeing new technologies come on board and the prices drop because we're learning by doing.
But then again, I don't want to get too far afield, but if I'm Bangladesh and I want to use this technology because this is very important to me, and by the time I got the technology up, it's already obsolete, that's got to be a concern.
It depends how you look at it. On one hand, having a solar panel that's working and is driving your cottage industry is a solar panel you didn't have before.
Right.
So it might not be the top of the line model, but you know, it actually does the job. So in terms of that kind of issue, it's not such a big issue. The bigger question here is how are we going to spur the kind of innovation in the long run that we need in this space? And that is really a key issue. That solving the technology problem probably won't be addressed in the Paris Agreement immediately, but it's definitely part of the conversation, and it sets a framework to have further technology discussions.
Last question. The place of the United States in these discussions now and in the discussions in Paris. We've been all over the map, it seems like, in the U.S. regarding climate change. Officially, where are we now and what place do we hold?
So the United States is obviously a really key player within the international space. And we've consistently played a pretty constructive role. Countries don't always agree with us, But we've played a pretty constructive role in terms of setting the scope for the debate. One of the, I think, real contributions the United States has made is bringing a better recognition of the importance of local action to the issue. So the American negotiators have really emphasized the importance of city-level engagement, state-level engagement, and the role of industry, which is pretty groundbreaking in the climate space.
Well, and at least the United States now seems to have some more interest than maybe it had in the past regarding these discussions.
Yeah, and whether we like it or not, we can't forget this is really a huge opportunity. This is all about innovation, and the United States is pretty good at innovation.
Congratulations on your efforts, and good luck as this process goes on. Thank you for
Thanks
joining
very much.
us.
No problem.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.